What is up, guys? I wanted to start a new series of videos. Circumstances have changed. I wanted to restart my channel, give it a reboot, essentially real talk to the camera. I wanted to start involving YouTube more into my everyday life and sort of seeing where I go with it, really. Talking about experiences I've had. We'll get some car stuff in there, we'll get some computer stuff in there, pretty much a wide variety of things going on. And some just day-to-day chit-chat, so I hope you enjoy. Today I want to talk about something that's quite important here in the UK anyway, and that is car insurance. Car insurance is a huge thing, especially for people of my age. I'm currently 19. If you're a student, if you're at uni, if you're a first-time driver, you'll know the struggles of getting decent prices for your car insurance. Just a disclaimer, I'm not here to advertise anyone. There's no paid endorsements, there's no anything like that. It's just me talking to you guys, you know, about my personal experiences, how I've dealt with these things. So, yeah, in terms of car insurance, there's a few things you need to look out for. Essentially, obviously, the car is the main one. People will tell you go for a car with a small engine, go for something that's slow and unattractive, and that is pretty much what you need to do. It definitely varies from postcode. I will tell you now that when I was first looking at my first car, the cheapest car that I could find to insure was around like an 02 model Skoda Fabia, 1 litre or 1.2. But then a friend of mine who lived up the road in the same postcode found that his cheapest quote was with a 1.6 Volkswagen Bora, even though he was a year older at the time. So it is definitely worth shopping around, just get tons and tons of quotes. That is the main thing that you need to do, get tons of quotes. Your postcode does affect things, definitely. Obviously there's nothing you can do about that. You can't lie about your postcode or where you live, guys, in your insurance application. You need to make sure that you give all the correct details, because otherwise your insurance policy will be void. The main thing is postcode. Postcode is a big one. Job is also another big one. I used to work in resale, and it was a reasonable price. But then I changed address, and then I also changed jobs at the same time. I became an IT analyst for a big company, and during that time it reduced my car insurance premium by about something along the lines of £15 a month, which was quite a lot, because I was paying about 170 at the time, or 180 I believe, something along those lines, so it does make a big difference. I would advise something that I did when I first started driving. I started driving at 17, I got all my lessons out of the way, got the licence, etc, and the main thing that concerned me was age. Age is obviously the biggest factor when it comes to car insurance. So I decided to wait until I was 18 to actually start my driving. I had the car and I had it just parked on the drive, and I said no, I'm not going to insure it until I'm 18, and the day I turned 18 I insured it, and that reduced my premium by several £100 for the year. Now obviously you can pay monthly instalments. My first year's car insurance was on a 1.2 litre Seat Ibiza, which was around £2,000 with a black box installed. Black box obviously monitors your driving. Some are better than others. The company I was with was Tesco Box Insurance, and they're not very intrusive at all. They'll keep track on how many miles you do, and they'll keep track on your driving, but not once did they ever ring me and say, you know, you're driving too erratically, and I just drove the same as everyone else does. I wasn't super sensible with it. So they're a company that I do recommend, and also if you go through their website, they do club card discount. So if you and all your parents have a club card, you can get probably up to like £100 off your car insurance by entering your club card on their website. So it's definitely one to look out for if you're like first-time driver. So about £2,000 or thereabouts is what I started out with, and it was probably around that time I sort of started thinking, you do shop around. The thing is, the reason I wanted to create this video for you guys is you look around online and you see lots of different things, different people's experiences, and you see people's advice, but they're usually older people. There's not usually many people of our age that actually say, look, this is what happened, this is what to do. And I think that's very important. I think that's very important in this stage of life, to have lots of guidance and to have people say, this is my experience, hopefully you can take something from it, so that's why I'm doing this. So, as I say, my first year, about £2,000, something along those lines, and then went on to be, I've just renewed, I got a new car before the end of my renewal, getting a new car towards the end of the year, I was expecting it to put up a lot more. I went from a 1.2 litre Seat Ibiza to my current car, which is a 1.6 litre Vauxhall Astra, and I made that jump about 3/4 of the way into my policy for the first year as an 18-year-old, and it went from, I was paying 169 a month, I believe, and it went from 175, and it went from 175 to 185 or 190, something like that. So it wasn't too big of a difference. It was about £200 extra for the year, which was obviously split across the months. So it's not the end of the world if something happens to your car. I crashed my car, for instance. It was a non-fault accident, but that was all dealt with through the insurance, and it wasn't as scary as an experience as you thought it might be. So anyway, changing car, my second year now with 1 year's no claims on a 1.6 is now £1,200 to declare, with my accident declared as well. So £1,200, not too bad, and obviously next year it'll go down more, and when you're 21 it is a massive drop. So it definitely is very dependent on our area. I'd say shop around for many different cars as you can. Most people say, you know, look at Corsas, look at Fiestas, etc. But I say think outside the box. You think about how many youngsters, if you've got mates that drive, chances are you know someone who owns a Vauxhall Corsa, or you know someone who owns a Ford Ka, or you know, one of those typical cars. And obviously insurers now watch out for those cars as people who are young drivers involved in accidents, or more likely to be involved in accidents, and then the premiums start going up again for those cars. So like I say, think outside the box. Sometimes bigger engine cars that aren't very popular at all, or even stuff like I was saying, the Skoda Fabia, it's not a popular car with young drivers at all. It's mostly driven by elderly people, and small engines, fairly reliable, Volkswagen Audi group vehicles. A friend of mine's a Skoda technician, and he works on them, and he says they're probably about as reliable as the equivalent Fiesta or Corsa or anything like that, so it's worth looking out for. Other than that, I'd say if you can't afford to do your own policy, I'd say don't bother. I know people who have gone on their parents' policies. For example, you say, you know, oh, this is my car, but my dad is the owner and he is the main driver and I'm a second driver, and it doesn't do you any favours. If you get pulled by police, you might have issues with that. I never did it myself. I thought I'll just do it legit, and when you do it legit, it pays off because you get that no claims bonus. And like I said, for me personally, I went from a small car to a bigger car with a bigger engine, more powerful engine, and in that time it had reduced, my policy had been, with an accident declared as well, my policy has gone from 2,000 to 1,200. That is a drastic difference, and bear in mind my new policy is without a black box as well, so there's no restrictions on it at all. So it really is worth doing it on your own. If you can't afford to do it on your own, then it's probably not a good idea for you to do it just yet, because even though, you know, when I was that age I wanted to just get out, get driving, it's not necessarily worth it unless you can do it on your own. Obviously if you've got parents to help you pay for car insurance, perfect, but I was in the position where I had to do it all myself, so I paid for the car. I paid £975 for my first car, and then I paid the insurance monthly, the £2,000 over the year, and used my job to pay for that. And then obviously now I've got the car finance as well on my Astra, which was £5,000, so it's worth figuring out financially. But my advice to you would be, from my experience, I would say, obviously shop around. That's something that you will be doing anyway. Look at cars that are outside the box. Don't just look at your standard Corsas and whatever just because it's got a small engine rather. Think outside the box, Skodas and smaller manufacturer Hyundais. You know, things like that. Things that aren't necessarily as common on the road, or common with younger drivers. That will probably help you significantly. Another thing is, always declare any accidents or anything like that that can get you in trouble. If you don't do that, obviously it's going to bump up your premium more. You know, if you've got points on your license, for example, you just have to declare them, unfortunately. Car modifications, a lot of people choose not to declare. It really depends on the insurer about that, but they say it's best to declare mods as well. But if you're not thinking of modifying your car, if you just want to get out there, get on the road, get driving, shop around, definitely check out that Tesco Black Box Insurance. They are pretty good, probably the best that I could recommend for black box insurance. I know of a lot of people who've gone for different companies for the black box, and they're a lot more intrusive, they're a lot more restrictive, and some of them even mark you down for driving at night and that sort of thing, and I think that's a bit ridiculous. It's very Big Brother sort of being watched all the time and all that sort of thing. You should be trusted on the road. If you're not going to drive like a lunatic, then you know, there's no reason why they should be watching over you. So that is my advice, guys. Shop around, look at cars that you wouldn't necessarily think of, and look for discounts as well. Like I said, the club card discount is a great one. It does actually make a big difference when you're looking at such a high premium, and definitely work on bringing your no claims bonus into play. So get looking on Auto Trader for the cars in your price range, and just hammer the quotes, and also ring up. Do ring up, because sometimes they can say, oh actually yeah, the price that you got online, yeah, but you haven't included this detail or something like that. So sometimes you can get cheaper, sometimes you get more expensive, or sometimes you can ring up a company and say, look, another company's quoted me this much, can you match it? And they'll say yeah, sure. So it really is worth putting the time and effort into. I know for me, when I was first looking into it, it was a very daunting task, and you do feel a bit overwhelmed by all the facts and figures, but I hope I've helped some of you today. It's just small details. I know a lot of this stuff you would have heard before, but it's these small details. It's always good to hear from someone who's had the experience before. So let me know what you want me to talk about in the future, guys. I've got plenty more videos lined up, and I hope this has been helpful as a reintroduction to my channel, and hope to see you guys shortly.